Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my intervention here this evening at this hour is really to try and put things back in perspective. To put things back in perspective for the public who may be looking on, and I would assume at this stage, in an utmost stage of confusion as to what it is that we're supposed to be debating here today. Because we have heard nothing but ramblings from the other side. We've heard nothing but persons reading regurgitated speeches from the other side. And it seemed at one stage to be an election platform screaming about laptops and the leader of the opposition and how many laptops she gave out. So just to put things very briefly, Madam Speaker, through you back into perspective, we've come here today to debate the Finance Bill 2020 and to deal with fiscal measures that this government took and are now implementing coming out of the budget, which was only a few weeks ago. So it's not anything abnormal, because I heard it being suggested by a previous speaker from the other side why the Minister of Finance took so long to bring this bill, and then secondly, that he chose, as though there's something wrong with him choosing what measures he would put to be implemented in this bill. The last speaker talked about and tried to water down the concept of the personal allowance going from $72,000 a year to $84,000 a year. So what it means is anybody earning a salary of $7,000 a month and below are not required to pay income tax. And what is wrong with that? Absolutely nothing is wrong with that. And the persons who are benefiting from it, the many, many persons in Trinidad and Tobago who are benefiting from it, are happy, and it does mean that they will have more disposable income. Is it a measure that focuses on those who may be earning $3,000 and less? The answer is no. But to try and paint it in that picture is a little less than honest. One of the measures that I wanted to talk about and spend some time, because there was only one speaker on the opposition side who dealt with it. That's the SPTs, the Special Petroleum Tax. And I understood, it was not too long ago, it was on Wednesday of this week when we were dealing with energy measures. I sat and I listened and I observed. But today the reality is startling, and the population looking on can come to the irrefutable, undeniable conclusion that there is no one, not a single member, elected member of parliament on the opposition side who has any clue about the energy sector and the energy industry. Not a single one. And I repeat what I said a few days ago, that we can now understand why the energy sector was decimated between 2010 and 2015. The member for Tabakit, who was here on the last occasion, gave a fairly decent textbook account of the energy sector. But the member for Mayaro stood up here today and unfortunately attempted to mislead the population with respect to SPTs. He spoke about how many barrels of oil a small producer should have to help increase the production. So just to put that specific aspect into line. Prior to this increase in the level of SPT being driven by the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, the Minister of Finance here today, it was set at $50 a barrel of oil. So in other words, once producers started to make over $50 a barrel of oil, they were required to pay this special petroleum tax in addition to royalties and other taxes. The industry had been lobbying for a long time for this to be increased. And by increasing it, what you do is you say, okay, so now we're increasing it to $75 a barrel. So between $50 a barrel and $75 a barrel now, you're not required to pay SPTs. But we had to set an amount. Because you see, Madam Speaker, despite what the member for Mayaro said, there are only a few oil producers in this province that cross over 2,000 barrels a day. You don't want to give this exemption this benefit to the big oil producers, because that's where we need to earn money. Because you see, I sit here and I listen, and every finance bill, it comes home to me, and I wonder, how do those on the other side think you run a country? Where do they think that you get revenue from? And all it does is drive home to me the point of what happened between 2010 and 2015. Fill your pockets, go and loot from NGC, do those types of things. But you need to have revenue. The Ministry of Finance needs to derive revenue. So what we did as a cabinet is we sat and we discussed it, and we came up with any producer who is producing less than 2,000 barrels a day, they will get the benefit of this. And what we're trying to do is increase the small on land and the small offshore producers, what we call the lease operators. So to listen here and to hear the member from Mayaro talk about maybe it should be 3,000, maybe it should be 5,000. The Minister of Finance was right. He asked me the question, who do you think has lobbied him? Why would you think that he would make that sort of intervention to put it at that level? But what it shows is a complete ignorance of the industry. So just for the population to be aware, this measure is specifically being put in place for the small lease operators. And there are very few of those lease operators. And if they want to come, let them go, let them produce. You produce your 2,000 barrels of oil, you will not pay SPT up to $75. And it will drive that. When we made this, it is not a wake up and come to the parliament type of atmosphere. We sat down, the Ministry of Energy every month brings the statistics to us. Just yesterday in Cabinet, we looked at the statistics for the month of October. We looked at the production. The production is broken down into the lease operators, onshore, offshore, the big producers. We are seeing the decline. Again, I repeat it, we are a mature province. But there are exciting times ahead in the energy industry. One of the things we're currently negotiating that hopefully will come through very soon is something to do with that whole area, the Solado area. And these are the types of incentives that we're giving to drive that up. So let your hearts not be worried. Don't listen to the propaganda of the other side, because they really have no clue about energy. They had no clue in 2010 to 2015. They still have no clue. And that is why on the 10th of August, the country collectively put back in power a P&M administration to continue leading this country. I also listened here today. All I was hearing is laptops, 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 laptops. And I know why. Because I see them from where I'm sitting. I'm seeing the turning of the pieces of paper from the prepared speeches. I see where they come out in the back room with the prepared speeches. What we're doing here today...
Madam Speaker, 48.6, the Minister of National Security should know better.
Please continue.
Glad that my friend from Curaçao put that on the record. So it's an admission that anyone who walks in here with a prepared speech from somebody else, it is something wrong, because he's saying that I'm imputing improper motives. So we make a mark of that on the answer. What we're doing here today, despite all of the noise and the fluff on the other side, is we're making it easier for everyone in Trinidad and Tobago to own a cell phone, tablets, and devices. So here it is. We're now, through this provision, this finance bill, there will be no VAT on or no online purchase tax or no customs duties on laptop computers, notebook computers, tablets, tablet computers, mobile digital equipment, cell phones, software accessories, and peripherals. Because members of the public were asking, what about the other devices that can connect? And this is not only being done for school children. The Prime Minister, as he was sworn in on this term, said that we're going to move the country digitally. So this is allowing our citizens now to have cheaper access to all of these devices, to have interconnectivity. You see the irony of it? As I stand there watching them hand out the speeches. I'm watching them hand out the speeches. So Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, so what we're doing here is there'll be no VAT, no online purchase tax, no customs duty on these devices. It will assist both our school children and it will assist the older citizens. It will assist everyone, including the cell phone devices. I also heard a lot of noise and attempts about housing. Again, the exemption on stamp duty is moving to $2 million for first-time homeowners. Now, I recognize those on the other side may be completely unconnected to this. Because I recall when we came in as an administration and we looked at HDC, what had happened. They changed and they moved policies. I remember the stories. I remember just before the 2015 election, seeing a newspaper, a photograph in the newspaper of the family, direct family of a government minister at that time getting HDC keys. But you see, this is a PNM administration that recognizes that by doing these things, we're helping the young professionals in society. So again, I applaud the Minister of Finance, I applaud the administration I'm a part of for making it easier for first-time homeowners. We're moving the limit up to $2 million. So if you're buying as a first-time homeowner, any property you're purchasing, up to $2 million, you don't pay stamp duty on it. Great initiative. It's not a handout system, it's encouraging. And that also encourages now the housing market for private sector to build homes at below that level. The vehicles, I'll leave the Minister of Finance to deal with that. Another area I heard a level of criticism aimed at is the SMEs and what we call the junior stock market. This is an area that is underdeveloped in Trinidad and Tobago. So again, we thought about it. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs out there. They're building up their businesses. There are a lot of family businesses out there. But you see, again, I sit and I listen and I recognize the first speaker, the member for, the Honourable Member Tanku. I can't remember where he's from. Which one? Oropuch West, thank you. They applauded him. Oh, here's an economist. He's talking complete hogwash when it came to SMEs. They like to criticize the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin, notice the Minister of Finance that he's an engineer. But he has done 100 times better than anything the UNC produced in 2010 to 2015. And you know, they treated the economists, their two ministers of finance, so badly. But then they put this fella to come forward as an economist. He did not even understand the junior stock market. So what you're looking to do is introduce and to build up the incentives to get people onto this junior stock market in Trinidad. So if there are only 5 or there are only 10 companies now, what is wrong with our government trying to incentivize it to get more on? It's good for family businesses. And that is what is being done here today. I didn't hear any of them on the other side, Madam Speaker, talk about the tax allowances relating to arts, culture, sporting activities or events, audio, visual, video production companies and the fashion industry, and the incentive to move the tax allowances from 6 million to 12 million. And I can say that has immediately sparked interest. There are now some small companies looking to come and invest to build that level of the industry. And also increasing the aggregate allowance of a production company up to a maximum of 8 million. These are the small things that will help, especially our young people who are interested in a digital economy, who are interested in film and art and creative art and production. So again, well done, Minister of Finance, in these difficult times where COVID is also sweeping the world and we're dealing with that pandemic, finding creativity and creative ways to offer new incentives. I must touch on this. The first speaker, again, Oropuch West, They like to make these screams and these cries about thousands of nationals stranded abroad. We have repatriated over 8,500 nationals. We have been doing the best that we can. But you see, I know why they're saying that, and I'll put it here today. Because there's this little chat group. And there's a little chat group being run by the opposition to try and stir up sentiment and a Gary Mahabir. And they tried it for months, and they called the names of the attorneys on the other side and the PRO on the other side, and they said, contact them, bring it to the attention of the media. So let the population know that that is the background. But it is through that very important border management that we managed to once again, kudos to the Minister of Health and his team, the CMO and their team, for us bringing the numbers back down. So in the middle of August, when we saw a spike that started to go at our hospital system, I'm happy to say that once again, we're back down at a manageable level of about 17 positive cases a day for the past week. I also will address this because it needs to be addressed. A criticism again by the first speaker, the member for Oropouche West, about foreign exchange. And in that conversation about Forex and the management of Forex, through at the government, well, why hire and pay a lobbyist? And isn't that what you have a whole embassy in Washington, D.C. for? The answer is no. And again, it shows the ignorance. And let the people of Trinidad and Tobago put down the marker and understand that is UNC government style. They don't even understand how a lobbyist works. They don't understand the benefit of having a lobbyist. You know why? Because they were never interested. They were never interested to go out there to market Trinidad and Tobago, as opposed to just go on these trips with this one holding the handbag, that one holding the scarf, this one going to the off license at night to bring back the drinks to the hotel room, this one to meet the oil executive in the bedroom slippers and the petticoat.
Madam Speaker, 48-1 at this stage. What is the relevance of all this to? Fiscal measures.
Okay, so member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. Thanks for the little distraction, but please get
wanted to make sure
track.
we're all awake. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The answer as to why a lobbyist, and I'll end on this point. A lobbyist gets you through doors. The lobbyist is the one who organized for Trinidad and Tobago, for the Prime Minister on one occasion, to have meetings with the senior members of committees, the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Financial Committee, Ms. Walters, Mr. Bernie Sanders, and these people. And that is what a lobbyist does. He gets you in the right doors so you can have the right conversations. I accompanied 3 Caribbean prime ministers, CARICOM prime ministers, Minister of Finance from Jamaica, for us to go before the US Congress, to meet with the right people, to tell them do not delist the region, to tell them to come step forward, fight the financial institutions, help us with the European, the EU, and where they were trying to delist and to blacklist this region. So that is what a lobbyist is for. So, Madam Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to make the intervention, and I thank the Minister of Finance, even in these difficult times, for finding a way to find incentives to keep the economy going and to keep it afloat. And I thank the people of Trinidad and Tobago for making the right decision, because every time I sit here in this house, it becomes more and more apparent to me that they made the right decision on the 10th of August of this year. Thank you very much, Madam.
Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, you have to wait for it to be cleaned, or you can speak from with your mask on, you can speak from your spot. Thank you.